Hello, mate. Welcome.
Thank you.
I feel like you do this stuff. You obviously have to do this stuff from a work sense, but you're a private person by nature in the same breath, aren't you? So the notion of Greg Russ calling and going, "Hey, you want to come and talk a bit about life and time and career of Anton de Pasquale," isn't necessarily something you'd race to do, though, is it?
I don't mind it. I quite like this sort of informal chat of like sort of podcast style. I don't do a lot of it. I don't have my own one, obviously. Yes. But yeah, I don't mind it. It's a bit of fun. But yeah, I don't sort of spread my whole life out there. Probably because I don't do anything cooler than drive a race car around, which everyone knows about. So nothing in my life is as cool as my job, which is pretty cool. So
now, can we come to that? I've spoken to a couple of people before this, just for thought provokers or conversation starters. Larko was one of them. I literally hung up when you arrived here today.
This can be dangerous.
No, it's good. It reinforces kind of everything that I thought in some respects. And he talked about you, school, and how you have only ever really lived, ate and breathed, as they say, cars and racing. There was never any inkling to do anything else, was there?
No, not really. I think it was one of those very fortunate, like if you wind it back, very fortunate to have the opportunity to race. But if I didn't want to race, I was allowed to do footy. I could do, if I wanted to go to school, I could go to, I was allowed to.
But academia wasn't your thing though, mate. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't enjoy it. I actually wasn't too bad at it, but that's a whole other topic. But I was given that ability to choose what I enjoyed, which was really fortunate. Unfortunately for my parents, I chose the most expensive thing that I could find. But yeah, once we committed to doing Formula Ford and you spending big bucks, then it was just plan A is plan A and plan B, what's the point of that? So, and you still, even if it all come crumbling down, you're still young, you can press on. But since I've sort of been racing that high level go-karts onwards, it was like, yep, let's go racing and let's do it. So yeah, plan B's hasn't really crossed my mind, and it still hasn't, and hopefully it never does.
Good. You've triggered two things here in the conversation. Firstly, the footy stuff. I mean, you're a fan of Collingwood to this day. Yeah. You love your AFL, don't you?
Yeah, I love footy. I think anyone in any race team ever with me will know that. Sort of once I digest the day and everything, I sort of wind down after a race or after Friday practices, turn the footy on at night after, obviously go through the debriefing and the engineering stuff, but that's sort of my wind down. And I watch pretty much most games every week. Just love it. It's good sport. But in saying that, I love sport. Woke up watching the World Cup a lot. And,
nice.
I just enjoy sport. I think the concept of sport and competing is sort of what keeps me going.
Has the sport, as in our motor racing, Supercars, has that provided an opportunity for a little bit of crossover from time where you've maybe, I don't know, had a kick around with some of the players or done a few things like that?
Yeah. The beauty of our sport is we do cross over with a lot of cool things. Obviously, sport's one of them. So done a fair bit of stuff with some AFL teams and players over the years and kick some goals with them and stuff. And I quite enjoy that because that takes me back to when I was like 12, 13, thinking I could kick a footy well. Obviously, can't kick as good as them. And yeah, we had a kick once. A few of the Bulldogs players, myself and Dave, and Dave's not a footy player, and he doesn't want to be, and he hasn't tried to be.
He can strut like one though, can't he?
Yeah, and you can tell the way he kicks. He
Terrible.
Never kicked a foot in his life. Okay. But you get to cross over a lot of cool stuff over the years, and take people for hot laps, and that's sort of the beauty of our sport. That's what we can offer back. And you take people for hot laps, and they're just amazed of what it is because it's not. You're not just driving a car around, which is what your first concept is. Yeah. So, that's sort of a beauty of our sport as well.
Those things are great. They're really eye-opening things. And when you watch a footy player get out of a supercar or something like that, it changes their whole perspective. Once they realise what actually goes on in your world and how they corner, how they brake, things like that. And there is that crossover, I think, between fans of both codes too, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I'm a fan of both. I like all sports. I think people that like sport. You enjoy seeing people compete. You enjoy seeing the underdog win. You enjoy all those things about sort of Australian sport especially. I think it all crosses over a lot.
Tell me about school life and early life. Is it Werribee? And
Yeah.
and dad were kind of, was it market gardening? What was that? It's Sam and Michelle too, mate. Is that right? Have I got
That's pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
So from a farming family, grew up on a farm. Parents and them are still farming, so that's been going ever since.
What do they grow?
So like mainly cauliflowers throughout the years, but it's that sort of, the area grows like broccoli, lettuce, cauliflower, all that sort of green veggie stuff that you sort of hate as kids, but you grow to love as you get older. That's sort of what the area does really well. So that's been my life as a kid, and that's sort of what indirectly probably got me into where I am now. Motorbikes, paddock bashes, all this cool stuff, which is sort of world coming back around. My nephew's doing all that now at 3 years old. He's got his first motorbike and stuff, and he's going down that same path. So childhood was really cool.
Where's that gene come from then? Does that come from dad, from someone else? What made you gravitate to it?
I don't know. I think it goes back to what I said earlier. I was just allowed to do stuff and allowed to sort of make your own choices. And if you like something, we were allowed to be good at it or try to be good at it at least. So my sister had horses. We both used to have the four-wheelers and go after school and stuff and get in a lot of trouble because we were doing stuff we weren't supposed to. But I think it was just that freedom of being able to do cool stuff, and obviously being on a farm and stuff. It's not normal to have a motorbike in your backyard and just be able to turn it on and go for a ride and have a bit of a track at the back. So I had all that, and then that eventually turned into go-karts at some point.
The go-kart stuff, I mean, if I look through some of the success points, I mean, I could rattle that off in the introduction to this podcast episode. Did it click straight away for you? Did you take to it like a duck to water? Where was the kind of the first real experience that you can remember?
I think naturally it never does. Like it's hard to be fast in a go-kart, and the first time I tried it, I was no good, obviously, but got going pretty well, so pretty quickly. Like, I only raced karts for 3 years, and because I got into it late, so I started racing when I was 13. But I come from dirt bikes and sort of doing stuff that was like it. So once I got going and raced, and we sort of worked out after the first couple of race meetings, everyone's been doing this for a long time, we're a bit off the pace, and then we stepped up the game a bit and started practicing. And same thing, like Dad really committed to it, and we went to a lot of tracks, and we sort of both had no idea what we were doing, but we realized that we had to do more of it to work it out. So we just, sign up to a country meet here, go to there, go here, go there.
You did Tassie and stuff too, mate, I think, didn't it? So
we went to everywhere, every state in the end. In my last year racing, sort of Australian titles and stuff, but in the early days, we went to every country club that you could ever think about existed. I was there doing a race.
Puckapunyal, blah blah blah, all this sort of stuff. Yeah.
Because I was sort of 4 or 5 years behind, so I had to sort of get on the pace quickly, and the only way to do that was learn new tracks and new experiences, and then through those years you come across a lot of the same guys I'm coming across now, which is cool.
Lovely support from mum and dad and all of that, mate. I mean, it's an expensive game, right? Was that a drain, a tough thing for them along the way?
It didn't seem like it at the time, but as I get older, you could imagine that sort of commitment. Obviously, I have my own go-kart now, and I buy my own tires and stuff, so I don't quite enjoy it.
You sweat about pulling dollars out of your pocket, is that what you're saying?
I don't quite enjoy it, but no question for them. So it was really cool, but at the same time, we had some of the best experiences, even if it didn't progress to where we are now
as a family.
Like the borderline friendship that we have from all that, and how close we are, probably goes back to all those days racing.
Brilliant.
Wouldn't change it. Well, I wouldn't change it for sure.
No, exactly. Larko talks to me about the recognition of the talent that you had, the skill that you had, and he has a love of Formula Ford, obviously, and to him, I think that was immediately obvious in Formula Ford. Was it at this point that you're thinking, I want to go to Europe? Because there is a single-seater component to your career before you got into supercars, obviously, and a European element of that. Was that what you were just kind of hell-bent on? What were you doing at this phase?
Not really. I've sort of always thought back on this, and I've never been one to say, I need to do that, or that's sort of like, if I don't succeed here, I failed or whatever. So it wasn't like I have to be Formula One driver, I have to this. It was sort of more, I guess Larko probably opened that door up more than anything. And it was, we won the Australian Formula Ford Championship, and there wasn't really a plan to do anything else. Obviously, you work that out as you go. And he come along and sort of structured that around us and was more like, well, why don't you do it? Like, what's the worst that can happen? You come back to where you are now in 2, 3, 4 years. Maybe you never come back. Who knows? So that kind of opened our eyes up to go, yeah, why not? Like, go there, learn some experiences. Worst case, full circle, you come back to where you are and you've got all that in your pocket now. So he organized all that and arranged it. Obviously, it was a big step for us as well. But it worked out really well. And indirectly, that probably is what sort of leapfrogged me over a few other guys into the Erebus seat. Just having that extra experiences was what sort of, I think, stood me out to Barry. And so it all worked out, really.
A lot of guys like him, like Barry, place value in that. Hey, they value in that single-seater, but also international experience. And was that hard? Yeah, I mean, there's the results show the success you had there, but how tough was that, chasing that, being abroad and so on?
Yeah, it was really, I don't even know if it was ever hard. It was like just really cool. First never been overseas before, moved straight to Austria.
Lechner was it? I'm trying to remember the team. Lechner, thank you.
So they're really renowned for Porsches.
Yep.
And they were stepping back into single seaters for the first time in a long time. And Larko had a connection there, so that all teed up really well. And I got picked up from the airport. Everyone's speaking German. Obviously, they all spoke English because it's motor racing. And they looked after me really well. You know, we're at family dinners and got included in everything, and we all traveled together and stuff. So I never felt like out of place, or I never felt lost, and I felt really comfortable just being somewhere else. And at the same time, we'll go in all these different places, racing all these tracks, F1 tracks, and I was still 18, so it was still all new to me. Freshly 18 too, so I only just got my license, and only just could go out and all this stuff, and I've just been lumped on the other side of the world. So, that was really cool. But there was a lot of good people, I think, around me without me knowing. I got connected with other drivers or other people from the local town that were cool, and they cycled or they did this or did that, and you just become friends with people and had something to do every day. So, and on top of that, the racing, of course.
Yeah. A couple of things here. How did you first cross paths with Larko? What transpired there?
I don't exactly know, but it was through Formula Ford. He, I guess, had a liking to me and the way I was racing, and we were doing a really good job in the championship that year, and I think he wanted to help. So that's sort of the way I understood it.
Yeah.
And he did. And he wanted to help us do something and obviously find success somewhere. And at that time, it was trying to find success in Europe and open wheelers and everything. But it's an expensive process, and you run out of cash real quick. But so that's how that connection came through, sort of the back end of that Formula Ford year in 2013.
So tell me about the zenith moment of the international adventure, if you will. Was there a track that you had some success at, that you had this very vivid memory of, and so on?
I can remember all the tracks and all the races, and I think I can remember every lap and every moment. And it's always amazing, even in your supercar career, you look back at certain results or just you think about it and you go, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Like, I look back now and go, if I knew what I knew now then, I think I could have done that so much better, or
explain that,
understand the issues with the car, or like get yourself out of these holes. Just through the years, you learn things and you understand cars better, you understand moments better, and
people better.
Yeah, and you look back and go, I always struggled with this. I think I could fix that now, but back then I had no idea. I was just the first time it happened to me, So, so I think I remember all that. But I would say my favorite track would have been Zandvoort. I raced there a fair few times, and that was my first race as well. And it was also ultimately when I won that first championship. That was the same track as well. We raced there the first and sort of last round, so I raced there twice that year. And it was just awesome. It was like before they resurfaced it and did all the banking and stuff, the old school version, which was way cooler, I reckon. And it was just awesome. And there's people everywhere and the town's cool. Just had a great time.
What transpires there? You talked about the expensive nature of it, and, was there interest from other people for you to stay and to keep going, or did you have to make a crucial decision at a certain time? What forced the change of tack to come back to Australia?
I think it was more just a realistic vision on, if we go if we do this again next year, cool. Say we win that, then what? We've got the price is going to double, triple for the next year. Then you've got to do it again and again. If it's hard now, it's going to be twice as hard later. So
we're talking millions at this point when you get to that sort of phase, mate, aren't you?
What we were doing was kind of like, you imagine Super 2 budget kind of stuff, plus you're living overseas and stuff. So maybe give or take around that. So not crazy numbers like there are now, but from there was the next steps were the big dollars, and we were never going to be able to do that. And it's just a realistic moment. We're probably out of our depth here. This is not viable, and while I'm still young enough and still fresh enough, and we could come back and do Super 2, and that's a career that's more than amazing. Why not do that? So that's sort of what happened. It was just basically good parenting, I would say.
Yeah. You have got a couple of supporters, I guess you could say, that I think are even prevalent now at Team 18 and so on. Have those sort of people been with you on this journey? Were there people that got on board and said, we've got to help, get you over there and so on?
I've had a lot of good supporters over the years, from obviously financial supporters, and also like mentorships like Larko, Paul
Morris, which we'll come to,
over the years. And then also like good partners that have had, probably more so from like Super 2 years, that are still on my helmet, and some are back on the car now.
Nice.
10 years later or whatever. So, been really fortunate I've always had a pretty good support group around me, and, partnerships and whatever throughout the years. And I've sort of value that stuff and don't really like chop it and change it and doing too much stuff.
The loyalty. Yeah.
So it's really cool, and ultimately just a good bunch of people trying to go racing and having a really good time.
You sound like you've, despite being probably quite young at the time, late teens or whatever, that you framed all that really well. So, coming back to Supercars wasn't a failure, or wasn't the European thing had been a valuable experience, but a realistic kind of bookend or something, a change of pace. Yeah.
I was pretty. Obviously, it hurts because you're having a good time and a dream is sort of cut off. But at the same time, I knew I was like, even now, like I know I'm in a privileged position to be driving race cars, and at whether it was racing a supercar, racing open wheeler, racing on dirt, like, it doesn't matter where it was. If that was what you're doing, it's a pretty cool thing, because I think I was surrounded by enough people doing hard enough jobs that I didn't want to do that either. So, the farming, whatever, the trading, whatever, all my mates, I was aware that I was doing the good job of everybody. So I wanted to keep that as much as possible. But there's no failures if you're having a go at something. I don't think, like you go do something, you have a crack at it. Never really failed, because if you didn't do it in the first place, you'd be in the same position, so you've had to go. But Supercars is still one of I'd say the best motorsport careers you can have. Like, obviously there's a few different categories around the world that do more racing or get paid more or whatever, but we've still got some of the best racing that you could do. And we can do it all here at home, which is awesome. Absolutely.
Do you stay in touch with any of those guys from the Formula Renault days? Have you kept in touch with a few people and so on?
Every now and again. Probably more so like when I went and did Spa a couple of years ago, and a couple of the endurance races. A lot of people obviously go through the open wheeler phase and end the same thing, but over there you end up going GT racing or whatever it is. So you go do Spa 24-hour, and the whole field's there, like you
enjoy that? Did you?
And you talk about the old stories, and it's funny. The first thing they always say is, I've been watching the racing. Supercars is the best. I wish I could race something like that. The amount of people that drivers just go like, we love your racing, like flying over curbs, crashing into each other, because they don't get to do that. They're doing a total different style of racing. So it's funny. That's always the first thing. But over the years, obviously, keep in touch with a lot of people, and a lot of people doing really cool things around the world, which is awesome to see.
What brings you into connection with Paul Morris, and how does that whole next chapter, if you will, where you get into, the Dunlop series as it was known then and so on, that change of path there? Tell us about that.
So that was Larko again. So when we came back from Europe, it was, what do we do now? And like I said, you should go do some driving with Paul, because I'd never driven anything with a roof or anything like that. So go do some laps at Paul at Norwell. This is sort of before Norwell is what it is now. With all the 86s and a very structured and a lot of cars. So we had a SS Commodore, which is still one of the best cars to learn in and drive in. And it's just simple. You go do 1 or 2 laps, do a couple cool down laps because the brakes are on fire, and then go again. So just spent sort of half a day with Paul, just me and him, just driving around doing different stuff. And at the end of it was like, we should do Super 2. Like let's roll the car out, let's go do a test, see how the test goes, and we should go like race Super 2, because at that time he wasn't going to be racing the FG.
Mm-hmm.
So they had the car there, had the people there. This is the year where all the futures were coming in. So the grid was 50-50 between the old cars and new cars. So it was, just a simple moment like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. Let's go test a car. Then a couple weeks later, we went and tested the car at QR, and was like, oh yeah, okay, let's go racing. Like, let's work this out. So then we worked it out, had a bit of a plan. Obviously, the first year was always going to be hard because you're a rookie in Super 2, but then you're also against car of the futures in the old car. So it was always just a learning year, just drive around, and then we eventually got the new car and then raced the next year. So the plan was always to do that, and Paul sort of structured that with that on the team at Norwell, and we went racing, which was good.
I'm paraphrasing here, and to be fair to Larko, I may not be articulating his line of thought right, but I sense that he had fully supported and backed you on this open wheeler journey and so on, but he was under no doubt that a switch to supercars was a significant shift, and it would be a big test of you as a driver and how you would adapt. And I wouldn't say he doubted you. I reckon that's the wrong choice of words by me. But he said it was to see you flourish, mate, to see you get behind the wheel of those things and adapt so well. Did it feel like a simple transition, or it wasn't as easy as that?
It was really difficult because I sort of I guess a little bit of beauty was in Formula Ford, we did that all right foot braking and heel towing and everything. That was something that Mick Ritter made sure we did, because most people that go through Formula Ford go to Supercars or whatever. So he always had the cars, you had the right foot brake, you weren't allowed not to. So I did have some experience already doing that, so that transition wasn't too hard. It wasn't easy either. It was a very different car, so I had a little bit of a leg up there. But then I guess the way the team worked as well, there wasn't like you imagine like a race team where there's engineers, data engineers, all these guys.
It's hands-on.
A lot of it was really just me, Paul saying do this, and I just believe him and just do it. Okay. And obviously he knows how to drive a race car around a track. So there was a lot of just very simple racing, but basically drive the car properly, and the result will come, and you can influence the car. But the base car was obviously very good as well. So, that sort of was fortunate that obviously had a driver coach there the whole time. And then when he wasn't there, because he was on Stadium Super Trucks in America and stuff, had like Owen Kelly come in and some other guys throughout the year to just sort of fill that spot. So always had people to lean on from a driving point of view, that had experience that wasn't sort of still in the game, so they were happy to give it to you.
Yeah, they're all no-nonsense guys, right? Like Mick Ritter, Paul Morris, even Owen Kelly, you could throw into that mix in the way that they talk about something, that they do something. As a young man at this stage, did that sort of approach resonate with you? Did that work well with you, kind of thing?
It was really good. It was very much, we'd have this is my problem, and a lot of time Paul would say, just do this, like, okay, yeah.
Black and white, straight as.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll just go do that then. And then normally you get something out of it, But, so there was obviously all the data and all the stuff as well, but a lot of it was just proper sort of, not old school, because I never raced old school, but, just driving to impact the result. And then the next year when we got the better car and it was a Tickford car and stuff, obviously, you're naturally going to go faster.
Yep. What is it about him? He's been on the podcast, so we've spoken about this. Why has he become such a good driver, trainer, mentor, and how valuable was this to you at this stage of your career timeline?
I think it's just like, obviously everyone's different, but it's just, I guess, having Norwell as the track and being able to drive sitting side by side to each other, communicating as you go. That's sort of, it's hard to do that at a racetrack. And you go to a hot lap or whatever, and on your cool down lap, yep, this, that, swap. You can't do that at a racetrack. It's very formal. You got limited time. Tires are always going off. So many other things. So I think having that ability to do it in a sort of informal way, in a sense, and be able to change it on the fly, sort of speeds everything up. And then at the same time, it got to the point where there's a lot of good people at the same same day, same track, Friday afternoon, on the shootouts and all these things. You can't do that anywhere pretty much in the world. So we've got days there where there's, 5, 6 guys on the grid during COVID and stuff that are driving around next to each other, we're obviously having a laugh, whatever, but you're trying to beat each other. And then you roll out the first race after COVID, and that's the podium. There's
something in that.
Yeah, there has to be something in that, because if you're not doing your craft, then how are you going to be good at it?
That whole complex, that setup, that I see some of the young guys. There's a young kid, Arthur Braun, who's come from New Zealand, who's up there now, and some of it's been so needed for this part of the world, I feel, hasn't it?
I don't think just in motorsport, it's sort of one of the only sports, or I don't know, maybe there's more, but you don't you don't have a coach, or you don't have you have got engineers, obviously. Yep, you got people that can analyze your driving, but in terms of the whys and the hows, we're sort of the drivers in the team, the only ones that know what it feels like, or we've done it before. So it's really, you don't have sort of like a coach as such. Like you look at most sports, they've got coaching for all different roles. Those guys have done that before, they understand it. So you end up coaching yourself most of the time, using the data and using the engineers and all this stuff. But end of the day, you're sort of self-coaching a lot, which when I was in Europe, we had driver coaches. That was very popular. Within like a team would have a driver coach for the 4 or 5 drivers, whatever's in the team. And that's his only job for the weekend. He would go around the track, take videos, analyze things, come back, and you'd have your own debrief with him and then your engineers. And that was really helpful as a young driver. So I guess that's kind of like what it is, but it's just something that you don't really do that much in motorsport, I guess. I'm not sure why.
And you see it sort of go in cycles. Like someone comes through, they benefit from Paul, and then they'll often be back. I mean, Shane was doing it for a while and so on, helping that next wave coming through. So I would imagine that's, been asked of you as well. Do you enjoy that? Or do you feel like you're good on that kind of side of the ledger, coaching people and helping them? Yeah, it's
good. Obviously, you're happy, especially with that good young people that are learning and they're willing to learn, and you can see it paying off as well. So I spent heaps of time, obviously, with Brock when he started racing.
Nice.
Super 3 at that time, because he was back in that car racing Paul. So I'd be at every test day with Brock and Paul and that, and so I went through that already, and it was exciting. Obviously now he beats us, which is cool. But
do you still get on all right?
Yeah. So like throughout the years, it's exciting. You jump in a car sometimes with someone experienced or not experienced, and your eyes open a lot of the time for different reasons. And sometimes you're like, oh wow, I never thought about it like that, or that was really weird, but why did that work? And you pick up these little things from other people as well throughout that journey.
Good. Is Paul kind of, would there be phone calls from time to time from you guys, or does it become a thing now where you're on your own pathway and he sort of lets you go do your thing? What's that relationship sort of like?
Yeah, definitely on my own pathway, and obviously we're all sort of, there's a few of us sort of embedded in supercars that come through that sort of
system, if you like.
But I guess the most exciting part of it all is like in that we have Nash as well, which we've been sort of.
You would have been little when
never raced
exactly.
When I was sort of there, and obviously myself and Brody lived with Paul and Nash during COVID and stuff, and that's when he took a really liking the cars, and so to see that develop from a whole another side is like Excellent. A big brother moment. And still now, we're at the test the other day and he's there, so it's so that's cool as well. But yeah, we're all obviously on our own path, but we all get on really well, for sure.
What was that COVID period like? It was crazy, but then you guys as kind of, let's call it housemates, what was that like?
Yeah, it was cool. We had a really good time. I guess the way we did COVID, obviously with racing and we're moving around, some of it was really annoying, but we're still doing it, and we'll kind of almost living your childhood dream. You're kind of going racetrack to racetrack and not a single thing in between.
Yeah.
And there was periods there when we had the 4 weeks in a row. Like, that's perfect. We're away from home. We're racing back-to-back weekends. Obviously, why we're doing it sucks, but what we're doing was actually kind of cool. Yeah. And then in the meantime, we're sort of all based out of the Gold Coast, and we're still trying to drive, obviously, where we could and do stuff. But yeah, I was bunked out of Paul's with me and Brody, and then Nash and that as well. So because Brody was my co-driver that year, so it was cool.
Cool. When does the phone ring from Erebus? How does that opportunity emerge for you? Can you share that?
So they rang Paul originally. So Barry and Paul got together, and essentially I did an evaluation day, one of those evaluation days, and you can only do that when you aren't a co-driver. So I didn't have a co-drive, which worked out really well for me because I got to do this evaluation day. So basically the whole day at Winton in Dave's car, which he went on a few weeks later to win Bathurst. So I just did a whole day driving the car around. Obviously, Dave could baseline it through the day, went through the changes. I still don't know what exactly we were testing, whatever. I didn't need to know. Just driving around, give my feedback and all that. And then I guess I did a good enough job to go, well, it was worth the risk for them to put me into the 99 car. And it probably wouldn't have happened without that day, which wouldn't have happened if I had a co-drive, and a few things have to work out.
Yeah, absolutely. So you land a multi-year deal there. There's some success at Hidden Valley and so on. Just tell me about. Did you relocate from Gold Coast back down? What did you do in this stage of things?
Yes, I was based out of Melbourne at this stage, so I was sort of flying up to the Gold Coast, spent a bit of time there in between races and whatever. But I was based at home with my parents in Melbourne, so that was fine. But yeah, it just basically it was obviously a big transition, and to go full time and different cars, different intensity. Like,
how intense? How intense?
Yeah, very. Like, the step up from Super 2 to main game is massive, and I hadn't done a lot of touring car races. Like, only done at that point like 11 rounds or something in Super 2, and before that it was all open wheelers and everything. So you haven't done a lot. You only did like one test day before the first round. So you're on the back foot, no co-driving. So it's a big step, but lucky throughout that year, had some rounds where the car was really good. Obviously, Dave won a few rounds, and I was going good at all those rounds, and that sort of got you out of the trouble, like make some shootouts and all that. So a good run at Bathurst, and some important tracks, and got going by the end of the year, and sort of gets you out of trouble and gets you into the next deal, and then you've only got a limited time to make your mark to earn your spot. Or else you're going to get shuffled out.
You've always struck me as a kind of very calm-natured person, or you seem that way. I don't know if it's different when you pull the helmet on. Some of the team have said to me that, how level-headed you are was one description. You kind of ride the motorsport emotional roller coaster that happens for other people with a seemingly a level approach. Does that period at Erebus, which is a huge test, you've just talked about how relatively little experience in a supercar sense you're bringing to the table for that. A lot is being asked of you in a leadership sense. How big was that learning period for you? And I guess what the first part of prefacing that is that your nature generally, or you chose to be like that?
Probably generally. I don't know. I haven't thought about it, so it must come naturally. But I guess in all that, the beauty of, really everywhere I've been, I've always had an experienced teammate, like rolled in. Obviously, Dave Reynolds is your teammate. He's running at the front. So you had that baseline and that experience within the team to sort of know what to expect and where to go and all this stuff. So it wasn't on me. I'd sort of just was allowed to sort of do my thing, and he was getting the results for the team. And could learn through that process, and he's always been really good to learn. Obviously, we've gone full circle and we're teammates again now.
Yes.
But at that time, it was ask questions and listen. And he was always very helpful. And then, I'm second to that. Obviously, moved and had had Davo as a teammate, which is another big learning step as well. So I've been lucky to have two really good teammates with a lot of experience to lean on through that process. So never felt like it was on me to perform or whatever. Obviously, it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, you always had experience and people willing to actually let you learn.
Adrian Burgess, who is a part of the Team 18 structure where you are now, said to me that you have this keen interest always in the crew of people that are around you, that there are social events that you'll regularly take yourself to, and social events around those people, whatever it might be, birthdays, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. I think it was even Adrian's birthday a week before we recorded this, and you were out with him, for example. Maybe Paul instilled a bit in that in you. I don't know. Did you get conscious when you're at Erebus of, right, I have to have this bond with these people that are around my car and be good at that? Maybe you enjoy that. I don't know, being around those people generally, so that comes a bit easier. But were you conscious of that?
Yeah, it's important, I think, but I enjoy it, and I'm very especially now, the crew that on my car and the team as a whole. Everyone's so close and everyone's a really cool person. So it's not a chore to, travel and go to all these places and team dinners and stuff. Everyone wants to be there. Everyone does attend, which is really helpful. I think that makes a big difference, and it makes a big difference. In the good days, everyone's going to get on. You're winning, whatever, you get a podium, everyone's happy. But when shit's gone bad or, you need a fix all night, or you got to ask the boys to pull a gearbox out after, they've only got an hour or whatever, and they don't really want to do it, but they will because you're a team and everyone has their role. But because you get on and you're not asking just because you're a prick. So, yeah, I think it's really important. And ultimately within the team, the drive, we have the best role naturally, and we do the less hours as well. So those guys, we're leaving the track and everyone's still working, and we get there and they're still working. It's very rare you'll see us there before the crew, and it's good to show respect for that because it is hard. And all up and down pit lane, everyone that's working is putting some hours in, and we get to drive the race cars and ultimately crash them and destroy them, and they will always come back brand new.
Just on that character reference that I set up that question with, on the flip side of the assessment of you, they were saying things like, when things don't go your way, you're not the kind to lash out in frustration and around the people that you work with. You're always kind of measured in the way that you work through the problems associated with the car, and people see that as a real strength of yours. Do you see yourself as mechanically minded? Everyone talks about Brody and what he does with the car. Maybe you've got an element of that, but I see clearly from what people are telling me here that the people skills are a very important part for you too.
Yeah, I think I understand the car pretty well, not to the point of I couldn't pull it together and put it back together in the same condition that they could, but understanding, I think, and through the years you get better and better at, is understanding what you need from the car at any given time is quite difficult, and it's something that I sort of take responsibility for within obviously the car, because the engineer can only do so much, but you have to feed, you have to give them the information of where to go and what to look for. So that's our responsibility as the driver to guide that direction, and I quite enjoy that. And we have that's why they're always talking a driver-engineer relationship so important, blah, 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 because it is. And we have I'm sure if you sort of stepped in and listened to some of the conversations we have together, you would think we hate each other.
Let's call them robust. Are they robust? Are they?
Yeah. Okay. And because you only got limited time, so you got to be blunt, but you both understand each other, and sometimes it's, you might get upset about whatever, and this is happening, and it's also the engineer comes back and go, yeah, mate, but you're braking like shit. You got to fix that, and then I can help you. And you go, okay, yeah, cool, fair shout. I'll work on that as well. So you have that respect to each other, and it's the only way to move forward. This sport is so cutthroat, so limited time, that emotions can't really be at the forefront. They've got to be left at home, and you just got to want to go better, and you'll want to do it together, right? Yeah.
I mean, does that describe the kind of relationship that you have with Andrew Donnelly and Donna's, right? So he works closely with you on that car, and maybe there's a mutual respect in that. Like you have to just be, what's that line people talk about, brevity, or you know, just it's not, you're not being rude, you're just being succinct, kind of thing in your description of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you have to be, because like I said, you're so limited on time. You might only have 30 seconds to talk to each other before the decision's going to be made, and you need to have your cue words, which mean, is it bad or is it really bad? And the harsher the words get, the more, because you have to sometimes show the little bit of emotion to go, I'm not just saying it under tears, I'm saying it like it's bad.
To illustrate it, to highlight it. Yeah.
Don't polish it, rebuild it, kind of thing. So we have a pretty good relationship, and I think we understand each other very well. We don't really get in each other's faces much at all.
Good.
He's a really good listener and understands really well. And our language is pretty similar. Like, we're a week apart in age. We sort of speak the same language. We kind of enjoy the same thing. So we got on really, really well. And we both just love racing and making cars better and making everything better within the team as much as we can. So we spend a lot of time during the week just analyzing things and just talking through things as much as we can. And we feel like we get something out of that.
Good. What, when did, I should say, the love of cycling kick in? Did it kick in Europe? Did it kick in on the Gold Coast? Did it start when you were with Erebus? When you loved them, I think when you were bikes generally, when you were younger, you talked about dirt bikes earlier and so on. But when did you get involved in cycling?
I think I got my first bike sort of Formula Ford time, mainly because I think all the sort of supercar drivers and stuff were cycling.
Yes.
And it was everyone knew that. So I was like, oh, well, I might as well do that too. So I sort of did that briefly. And then when I went overseas, that's when I sort of hit it pretty hard. I got a pretty good bike over there through some connections in the team and all that. So I got this really good bike, really cheap. And I was living in some of the coolest places to cycle. And I was also very close to the weight at all the time. So I had to keep as skinny as possible. So that was the best way to do it. Like, you should just wake up, have a bowl of cereal and ride 100 Ks or whatever, and just come back and jump on the scales and go, yeah, sweet, off to the racetrack. And it was so hard for me to keep under the weight, and the weight was pretty strict. Like, I'm like 80 kilos now, which is just sort of like a normal dude, but I was like down at like 66, 67 kilos. To sort of make the weight, it was quite hard for some reason. It's all got a bit leaner now, and it's a bit easier for everyone now. But back then, it was the lighter you were, sort of the more chance you had. So that's the only way I could do it. You just ride. And I really enjoyed it. I was sort of riding through the mountains of Austria and stuff and just enjoying it. So then that's something I've always carried on. A little bit more fair weather now.
Yes.
Don't ride too much in the winter. Don't ride too much when the magpies are swooping. But in summer, pretty much most days, yeah.
Cool. Can I give you an open opportunity to, in your own words, tell me how you feel with time about the DJR chapter, how the opportunity came about? I feel, there were some great moments there to be positive of. There's probably some frustration at the end. How have you, now that you've been nearly 2 years with Team 18, how do you kind of feel about that section of your career now, and maybe a zenith moment and a tough moment in that place?
Yeah, it was good, I guess. Had a lot of good results and a lot of good times with a lot of good people as well. I guess the hardest part about all that is, like, when you talk results and stuff, was how good like Red Bull and Shane got at, like, in that last couple of years. I guess it was at the same time, obviously Scotty went and everything, but those guys brought a new level to it, and I think that caught the field off guard. Like, through the years when Scotty was there, Waters was second or whatever in the championship, Shane come along and just sort of tropped everyone. So that was the hardest bit, because you would lead so many races, and just the tyre life that they had. Me and Will spoke at the time, like, mate, like, what do we do? Like, they just never had any tyre deck, and it was just really hard to do anything about. So the amount of seconds that we had and stuff over the years was really annoying, but we were in competitive cars all the time. We were having a good time racing, and learned a lot through that experience. Got to work with a lot of good people. Obviously, that team was in a different life cycle than obviously where it was a couple of years before and everything, but a lot of the good people were still all there, and we still had a great team. So had a good experience. Then obviously got to experience the Gen 3 from the brunt of it from the start, and sort of understand that process and see how that all went about, and how hard that was for everybody. And then obviously we rolled out our cars and we went very good, and just getting through that. And then ultimately, when we won in Townsville in 23, which was the first official Mustang win, just sort of knowing where we come from, that was probably one of my best wins there. And it's still, I have a lot of good memories still, and I'm still close to a lot of the people.
Tell me about that, was it because you'd come through all of that tough stuff, so to get that result in Townsville was, so satisfying in that sense?
Yeah, it was just like what we rolled out at Newcastle that year, and then just with the parody and the Mustang and all the stuff, and eventually winning it and being a part of that was just a good feeling. And then we went on a bit of a run and got a few podiums, and we had third at Bathurst that year, where we had 0 straight line speed, and it was a perfect day. We got third, and it felt like you never deserve to win when you don't win, but it was like we felt like we did everything we could and had a really good day and did everything right. And that felt like a mini win in itself. So we had a lot of good moments, I think, and even prior to that, in the old gen cars, and some 1-2s with Davo, and sharing front rows and bumping into turn 1 and stuff. And not many people can say they've been able to do that, with their teammate on a regular basis. So it was cool.
Did you feel like it was going to be, timely to have a refresh, a reset maybe? Did Charlie call? What transpires to get you to go south again to Team 18?
I think it was just timing was right. It was obviously a lot going on. They were trying to reset, and I was ready for a move as well. And I obviously had some good discussions with Charlie and Adrian, and I didn't know Charlie too well. Obviously got to know him well. Obviously knew him briefly from the paddock and stuff, as you do. Knew Adrian quite well because spent a lot of time obviously when he was working with Supercars through the prototype phase and all that. So I knew what operator he was, and I was quite excited to put myself in that situation, and obviously come from a different perspective to where I had been. Obviously join a team and go upwards, and be part of that process, and I felt like I could contribute to that, and obviously I have, but I felt like there was a lot of links there that with a couple others could link up really well, and we could be where we are. So it was an opportunity that I was excited about.
Adrian tells me you are a regular at the workshop. You may have even been there today before you've come into the studio here. They're obviously on a massive kind of growth curve. I was with you in Hidden Valley, that was huge for the team, and so on. How, from what you're observing, are all the ingredients kind of coming together? Because I know there was all that stuff with Scafie and whatever else, which seems to have been ironed out at Barrett's birthday party, which is lovely. But do you feel like the ingredients are coming together, and then maybe perhaps by Enduro time or something, it's starting to be on a more regular basis?
I think we're definitely on a good path, and I think I've said it before, but like, it is to do well in this series and to do it well regularly or more than once.
Hard.
It is so hard, and that's why it feels so good when you do win. That's why it feels the way it does, and I think for us to just be able to go, we're a factory team. Yep, okay, yeah, we have me. Okay, yeah, we've got a couple other people. We're gonna win. Like, that's not fair to ourselves, and it's like borderline disrespectful to the other teams as well, because people have been building for years and years and years to get to where they are, and we're only sort of 12 or so months into our sort of our progress, and I feel like we're on a good path, and we're competing regularly at the front, which is a hard thing to do. And we're only getting better and stronger, and we're understanding more. Our bad days don't last as long as they used to, and whatever. But yeah, it's just it's a process, and I think you have to sort of respect the process a little bit. And it takes time, and you got to learn from it. As long as you sort of stick to your own goals and what you think where you should be, you'll be on the right path. So for us, when we can win races and we can get podiums against, the best of the best, it feels great.
Do you like the finals format, and has everyone kind of rethought the way we're potentially going to go about this in 2026?
I think so. It's so borderline between like the thought train of obviously we're testing for the finals, and then there's, well, if you make your car as fast as possible every day, you are testing for the finals anyway.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of what's true and what's not. I still don't know, and you probably never will, because you go to like a Townsville 12 months on and it's completely different. You got to change your car completely different from the year before. The sun's shining in a different direction than the last year, and it's different. So I think it's hard to predict what your problem is going to be at Gold Coast now. But in saying that, there's some learnings obviously through the year that we see that we're trying to solve for later in the year, and there's some places we feel confident go to and some places we don't, and we're trying to get ahead of that as early as we can. But at the same time, if you've got an opportunity to go well, you want to go well now.
For you to finish, firstly, you mentioned a little bit of GT stuff overseas. We've seen Shane successfully go to NASCAR. Brody's dabbled there. Will Brown's dabbled there. Your immediate focus, I'm sure you'll tell me, is Supercars, Bathurst, whatever. But is there a little want to tick a couple of other things along the way? And if so, what is that itch you want to scratch?
I've got plenty of itches, but obviously I'd love to do some more GT stuff. I think I really enjoyed that. Obviously got to do it with the Groves, and they're good friends of mine, and we had a really good time, and you chuck in half a holiday at the same time, and I've really enjoyed that racing and that style of racing and those cars. So yeah, love to do, your 12 hours and your 24s if they line up and whatever. But at the same time, I think it'd be cool to do a wildcard NASCAR that obviously people have doing, but it's not easy to do. Like you can't just roll over there with your helmet and you're going to drive a car. There's a process, and obviously someone's got to pay for it and all that. But I think that'd be really cool, and obviously
one day,
us being the Chev team, obviously there's a natural link there, so that'd be something be good to explore. And obviously you have to be smart with where you do it, and very difficult. You can't just go test there and then decide what you do. Like they've sort of, you're walking in straight to a race pretty much. It's not an easy thing to do either. So that'd be really cool. But yeah, I think a mixture of racing is good. I think I love supercars, and I love sort of what we do, and our shootouts and our racing and the way we race is awesome. I'd love to do a little bit more of it, firstly, which they're obviously trying to do as much as they can. But then on those off weeks, especially when we've got those big breaks, you do get pretty bored, and it'd be cool to be driving something else. And I've had fun driving many different things, even 6 hour over the years and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say no to too much.
Okay. Collingwood, you love the club. You've been to a few games recently, but I don't know that they've all gone well when you've spectated. Is this true?
I went to a heap at the start of the year, and obviously they're really close games. There's a draw in there and some losses, but I watch most games, and I love the footy, and I've gone for the Pies forever. Yeah. So yeah, obviously, naturally, all my mates go for Carlton, so that's a natural rivalry. And then when Pies aren't going too well, my mum goes for Geelong, so I just go with her.
Good stuff.
But I like going to the footy, so pretty regular at the G.
Now, I don't know whether the statute of limitations has passed enough on this story. If it's no good, we can edit this out. They tell me from your days back in Europe, you had an association with Jack Aitken, who's these days is WEC, Cadillac, etc. There is a story that you may have had a car. I don't know whether it's a rental car. I don't know who was driving. I don't know what the story is, but there is some yarn around maybe roundabouts and hillsides.
Yeah, definitely.
What happened there?
Where have you heard this from? That's pretty good. You're a pretty good investigator.
You can vet it. You can just say, yes, that's a true story, and we can leave it at that if you prefer.
It was possibly one of the funniest things I've ever experienced in my life. The brief story was, it was myself, Jack, and Jake Hughes.
Yes.
So like a Formula E driver. We were coming back from a test day. I think we were leaving like Aragon or something, and we're driving to where I was living in Barca. And basically, we've just you're hauling all the time on these freeways.
This sounds like Dukes of Hazzard coming here or something.
And there was just this one, for some reason, there was like a sort of like a blind corner. We just happened to miss what Jack was driving. He missed the roundabout ahead sign and just come in all crossed up and straight through the traffic, over the curb, into the embankment in the middle. And like, it was, once we knew that we survived and everyone else survived, it was the funniest thing. And I still laugh about it today.
Do you?
And yeah, there was a bit more to it, but it was really good. It was just one of those moments where you look back, and 20 years and I can still picture it, I reckon.
Awesome.
Heaps of fun. But yeah, we had a lot of good times over the years with a lot of cool drivers and a lot of those little moments that you'll remember for years to come. And every when you see each other, you remember it, like a random nightclub after a race in some random town somewhere that, you're doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing and you're just having a laugh about it. And you sort of remember those things, obviously, in between all the races.
I love that. Keep that in perspective, kids. Don't try that at home. Bit of fun, harmless fun, and everyone walked away, which is great. The end of 2026, what ideally would you like to say you'd tick the box on? What's a wish list?
I guess walking into the year, it was win some races. Was, you try and win races every year, but I think for us to hold our heads up, we have to win some races. Obviously, we won 2, like a few more, but we're on that path, and I think we've not ticked that box, but we're ticking it with the pens down. But it's going. I think the way the formats work, you have to make the finals, which we're on that path as well. But you want to make the final 4. I think you want to give yourself a chance at the title. Whether you get it or not is a different story, but you want to be there, be part of that, parade and stuff that they do before the final 4, and give yourself a chance at the ultimate for the year. So for us, it'd be good to be part of that. And we could have been a part of it last year, just things went a little bit different way. So it'd be good to get through that and get to there and give ourselves a chance and throw everything at it. Because I think we can upset if we are there, but obviously anything can happen. And then at the same time, I think you want to compete well at Bathurst. Obviously, that's the tick throughout the year. You want to have a chance at Bathurst. You want to have a chance at the championship. Normally, you'd get to a certain part of the year, the championship disappears, but with the finals, that's where you can say the final 4. You want to give yourself a chance, so you want to be part of that. And then you want to give yourself a chance at Bathurst and throw everything at that, which at the same time, with the finals, you want to be above the cutoff by a good margin to not think about it. So for us, we want to get to the start of Bathurst and be above that cut line and not be stressing about if the car breaks down or whatever, we're out. So for us, it's have a good buffer leading into it so we can have a crack at that and then reset and try and aim for the 4.
To finish, a people question, a machine question. Let's go with the machine question first. Davey Reynolds kept his...
You started machine.
Your machine. I'm going machine. Well, so yes, yeah. He kept his or got hold of his original RX-7 that I think he'd had as a kid. There are different stories in the paddock. Some people think of the race car as a tool and maybe aren't deeply connected to it. Do you have a little garage project that you'd either have got or would like one day?
No. I would love something old school, and for anyone that knows me quite well, I've had a fair few cracks at some auctions for some cars.
Have you?
But,
like what? What are we talking?
Things within my price range first.
Yes.
But then there's always someone with a bigger wallet.
Yeah.
And it annoys me a little bit. But
are we talking like a classic 911 or something, or what is your thing?
Think like American muscle, old school 60s, late 60s muscle car, your
Camaro?
Yeah, like your Camaro, your Chevelle, even some fastback Mustangs. I've had a fair crack at some different auctions throughout the years. Even like, F100 and stuff, the small body ones and things.
Some of the prices are nuts, hey, at the times.
Yeah, and they've gone ballistic, and someone always wants it more than me. Maybe that's where my level-headedness comes in. I don't go over the top. I sort of stick to my budget, and usually Dad helps me set that.
Does he?
And he's generally on the low side. So, yeah, I've come close a few times, and there's just always that one person. I don't know where they are. I don't know who they are, and they always just want it a little bit more than me. But yeah, I'll pick something up at some point. I just don't like overpaying.
Okay, I look forward to hearing about that, and well done, Sam. I love the fact that you keep those tight reins. That appeals to me. On the people side of things, to conclude this, you talked earlier about knowing now what you would tell yourself in, say, Formula Renault or that sort of stuff. What would you tell an aspiring Anton Di Pasquale, someone with a dream that wants to come in and have a crack at this, about the way to get to a premier drive with the leading Chev outfit and so
on? Obviously, there's the assumption that you obviously got the talent and you're doing well and all that stuff. Put that aside and assume that that's what we're talking about. I'd say, one is the apply yourself part of it, like do it properly and take it seriously, because it's pretty serious and you only really get one shot at it. It's pretty hard to have multiple goes at it. So you've only really got one shot to impress people. And at the same time, really, it's just connect with people throughout the industry, whoever that is, obviously with the right people, but even simple things like if you're, racing in Super 2 or whatever, like don't be scared to start a conversation with us, because that one day might lead to an endurance drive or something,
Nice.
Like these little things that you remember, like even just something about Charlie before, obviously got to know him. I'd always remembered, he always would say hello, always shake your hand, ask you how you are. You might have a 20-second conversation, but it was always, hey mate, how are you? And I just always had in my mind, like, oh, he's always a good bloke. Like he's always said hello to me, and just all these little things throughout, you
never know where that
you
leads.
make impressions on people. We all do it. We're all bad for it. You judge people, but for like young guys, don't be scared to, speak to people. And because we've all been there, it's not like they're not gonna shove someone off and go, who's that or what's that. Everyone knows who everyone is. Even we all watch Super 2, we all watch 86s, we all know. So yeah, just apply yourself, really. It all sort of lines in that same field.
Great stuff. Very sage advice. I had some notes for this today. I had a little bit of help with a couple of people, but fundamentally we've turned the microphones on and just chatted. I know by and large you're a private person, mate, but I feel like this has been an ace conversation.
Good.
You've got some really good let's call it ingredients there this year for the stuff that you hope come Bathurst and hope come finals. I genuinely hope you have a cracking year, mate, and you're powering. Keep doing that. Thanks for chatting with us today.
Thanks very much. Been a pleasure.